I never thought my own family would be the reason I stood at the edge of eviction, holding a crumpled rent notice in one hand and silence in the other. It was early March in Portland, and the rain hadn't stopped for 2 days fitting because nothing in my life felt bright. I stared at the email from my apartment manager, a polite reminder that my payment was late. I knew why. I knew exactly why. My mother and sister, the two people who claimed to love me the most, had dipped into the money I'd saved for rent. It wasn't an accident. They didn't borrow it. They took it without hesitation, without apology, because apparently their relaxation mattered more than my stability. It all started 2 weeks earlier when my mom called out of the blue. Her voice was sugary, the kind she used only when she wanted something. "Sweetheart, do you remember how stressed we all have been? Your sister has been overwhelmed, and I haven't had a proper break in months. I knew something was coming, but I didn't expect this." They were planning a weekend spa retreat in Napa Valley. 5-star, all-inclusive. Massages, facials, mineral pools, the works. And they needed my help. Not my presence. Not my company. My money. I told them gently, firmly, that I couldn't. My rent was due. Portland wasn't a cheap city, and as a marketing coordinator still paying off student loans, every dollar mattered. I expected empathy. I received entitlement instead. My mother sighed dramatically, saying, "You're being selfish." My sister chimed in, "It's just money, Olivia." Stop being dramatic. They promised they wouldn't touch my savings. They promised. The next morning, my banking app showed a transfer, $1,780, moved to family account. My stomach dropped. My chest felt like someone had tied it with a wire. I immediately called my mom. She didn't even pretend to be sorry. "Look, we needed it." "You can always pay your rent a little late," she said, voice dripping with that casual cruelty she'd perfected. "Relax. You're young. You'll survive." I wanted to scream, but the words got stuck somewhere behind anger and disbelief. She took more my dignity, my trust, than she took from my account. My sister texted me selfies from the spa 2 days later. Her caption read, "Best weekend ever. Thanks to my amazing sister." As if I gifted it willingly. As if I had chosen this humiliation. Meanwhile, I ate dollar store cereal and prayed my landlord would give me time. By Monday morning, something inside me snapped. Not loudly. Not explosively. Quietly, like the soft break of a thin piece of glass in your hand. Painful, sharp, subtle. I sat in my bed and looked around my small studio, the place I'd fought to afford, the life I was trying to build. They didn't care. They never had. My mother had always put my sister Amber first. Amber was the golden child, the one who deserved nice things, the one whose mistakes were forgiven before they even landed. I was the responsible one, the backup plan, the one who handled things. The one they expected to sacrifice because you're strong, Olivia. Strong didn't mean I wasn't tired. Strong didn't mean I didn't break. I felt my jaw tighten as I thought about the spa resort screenshots of the place were still open on my sister's Instagram. Luxury robes. Orange-lit saunas. Champagne on arrival. My rent money paid for all of it. I had two choices. Let this happen again or end the cycle. I didn't realize at that moment that I was already choosing. My revenge didn't come from fury. It came from clarity. They thought I was weak. They thought I'd swallow it. They thought I'd forgive like always. They thought wrong. That afternoon, while the rain softened to a drizzle, I opened my laptop and made a decision that would shape everything that came next. I wasn't just getting my money back. I was taking something they valued, even more peace. Their peace. Their comfort. Their perfect little retreat from responsibility. If they wanted relaxation so desperately, they could keep it. Because soon I was going to make sure it didn't last long. And for the first time in a long time, a quiet, dangerous calm settled over me. My own vacation wasn't just a getaway. It was the beginning of a storm they never saw coming. I woke up the next morning with a clarity I hadn't felt in years. Not anger, not sadness, but purpose. Purpose is a dangerous thing when given to someone who has finally stopped begging to be treated right. I sat at my tiny kitchen table, sunlight spilling through the blinds, and I drafted a plan. It wasn't impulsive. It wasn't reckless. It was precise, deliberate, and long overdue. The first step was simple: take control of what was mine. They had used my rent money to fund their luxurious Napa Valley spa retreat, so I'd make sure that retreat became unforgettable for all the wrong reasons. But before striking back, I knew to protect myself. I emailed my apartment manager, explaining partially the situation. I told her my family had taken the funds without permission and I'd need a 3-day extension. She surprised me. She called within 30 minutes. Her voice was soft, understanding in a way my own mother's had never been. "Olivia, I appreciate your honesty. Take the extra days. Don't worry." Just those 2 sentences made something inside me settle. A stranger showed me more care than my own blood. That's when I knew my revenge wasn't cruel. It was justice. With housing secured, temporarily at least, I shifted my attention to step 2. I opened my sister Amber's Instagram again. Their spa resort had a very active social media team-tagged posts, check-ins, and daily stories from visitors. The resort even used geotags to encourage guests to share your memories. It was almost too easy. While scrolling, I spotted a story from one of Amber's friends, a video of the spa lobby showing 2 guests arguing with a receptionist about a double booking. The spa system wasn't perfect. Good. Inconsistencies were opportunities. I clicked on the resort's website and found the section for membership benefits. Members could update personal details, request room changes, file complaints, and even modify upcoming reservations. And Amber being Amber had signed up with her email, but the main contact number listed was our mother's, a number I knew by heart. I tried a simple login with my sister's predictable password patterns. 3rd attempt. Success. A soft laugh escaped me. They had taken money from someone who grew up solving their problems. They forgot I knew everything about how they operated. I could see their entire reservation, deluxe double suite, aromatherapy massages, facial treatments, private mineral bath booking, and a scheduled silence meditation retreat on Sunday morning. I smirked. Silence? Not for long. I knew better than to cancel anything that would be too obvious, too traceable. I wanted something quieter, something that would unravel their perfect weekend from the inside. I started small. I updated the reservation to include late checkout charged to guest account. Then I reordered their treatments so they'd overlap, ensuring chaos when the staff realized 2 sessions were booked for the same time. Next, I added a note requesting that the resort contact the guest, urgently regarding a billing discrepancy, but I entered my mother's number. I wasn't done. I requested 3 additional spa products for room delivery premium oils, herbal teas, and a silk robe, each over $150. Luxury they'd never enjoy but certainly be charged for. I leaned back and took a deep breath. It wasn't enough. They needed to feel what I felt: stress, inconvenience, imbalance. So I went further. Using Amber's email, I sent a message to the spa's manager, claiming that their relaxation experience was deeply disrupted by loud guests next door. I exaggerated, painting it as a distressing incident, requesting compensation. That complaint triggered an internal investigation, which meant multiple staff members would approach their room repeatedly over the weekend. The irony made my chest warm. They wanted peace, but I was handing them noise. I closed my laptop, feeling lighter, but not satisfied. Retribution wasn't enough. I needed something for myself too. Something meaningful. Something healing. Something they couldn't take. I opened a new tab and typed, "Solo weekend retreats near me." It felt rebellious just to entertain it. I found a beachfront cabin on the Oregon coast, quiet, private, with a balcony overlooking the waves. It was discounted because of an off-season promotion. I could afford one night if I budgeted well. I hesitated. Was it selfish to treat myself while chaos brewed in Napa? Or was it finally time? I booked it. Asterisk the confirmation email landed in my inbox, and I nearly cried. Not because I was running away, but because I was finally choosing myself. I packed a small bag hoodie, notebook, water bottle, the novel I hadn't touched in months. Something inside me felt warm, anchored. Before leaving, I sent one last message through Amber's spa account, a request to add surprise birthday decorations to the room. Pink balloons. Glitter banners, confetti, the kind that makes a mess impossible to clean up. Amber hated glitter. My mother hated surprises. My finger hovered over the send button for half a second, then pressed. Done. I stepped out of my apartment to crisp March air. For once, the weight on my chest felt lighter than my backpack. I boarded the bus to the coast, watching raindrops race each other down the window. My mind replayed every moment leading to this, every time they dismissed my feelings, every sacrifice I'd made, every piece I'd surrendered just to be a good daughter, a good sister. But they had never been good to me. And now they would learn the cost of treating me like an extra, like a resource, like a wallet. I reached the cabin just before sunset. The ocean roared gently, like it were greeting me. The wooden structure smelled like cedar and salt. I stepped onto the balcony, letting the wind sweep through my hair. For the first time in a long time, I felt calm. I ordered takeout, curled up with my book, and let myself rest. True rest, not the forced kind, real, warm, earned. I didn't check their messages or their statuses. I didn't need to. I knew tomorrow would bring chaos to their spa retreat. I knew the storm I'd set in motion would hit them hard. But tonight was mine. The moon glowed over the water as if telling me, finally, Olivia. Finally, you chose yourself. Tomorrow, I would see just how perfectly their relaxation fell apart, and I wouldn't feel guilty for a second. I woke up to the sound of waves and a dozen unread notifications vibrating my phone off the nightstand, and for a brief, beautiful moment, I forgot about my mother and Amber entirely. The light creeping through the curtains was soft and golden, the kind of light that makes you feel like the universe has gently pressed pause just for you. I stretched, feeling every knot in my shoulders finally loosen, and then, because I already knew what those notifications were about, I smiled before I even picked up my phone. The first message was from my mother at 7:12 a.m. Olivia, are you awake? Call me. Urgent. The next was from Amber at 7:24. Is this your idea of a joke? Then my mother again. We need to talk about what's happening at the spa. They've made a mess of our booking and are charging us extra. Did you do something? A small laugh slipped from my lips as I scrolled. There were screenshots of angry texts between them and the spa staff. Photos of pink balloons and glitter all over their expensive suite. A picture of an itemized bill with additional charges for premium amenities, late checkout, and room customization package. I could practically hear my mother's voice escalating with each fee. I set the phone down for a moment and walked out onto the balcony, letting the cold ocean wind hit my face. In the distance, the horizon looked endless, like a possibility. I realized I had never actually been alone by choice before, not like this. Not in a way that was about caring for myself instead of escaping someone else. I breathed in long and slow, and when I exhaled, I felt something heavy leave with it. Then, because it was finally time, I went back inside, made myself a cup of coffee, and called my mother. She picked up before the first ring even finished. Olivia, what did you do? She demanded, skipping any greeting. Her voice was sharp, frantic, the way it got when she felt her comfort threatened. The spa is saying our reservation's been changed and they've added ridiculous charges. And we're not getting the treatments we booked because of system errors. They're talking about policy and non-refundable upgrades. This is insane. I let her rant for a good 30 seconds, sipping my coffee calmly. That sounds stressful, I said quietly when she finally paused for breath. There was a stunned silence on the other end, as if she couldn't believe I wasn't leaping in to fix it. Stressful? She repeated. We're going to be charged hundreds of dollars extra for things we didn't even ask for. and they keep knocking on our door over some complaint about noisy guests and a billing issue. This is supposed to be a relaxing weekend. I stared out at the waves and let the next words come from the part of me that had been silenced for years. Yeah, I said softly. Kind of like how I was supposed to have a stable place to live, and you took my rent money for this trip. Another silence. This one is heavier. That's not the same thing, she snapped eventually. We told you we'd help you later. You're overreacting. Family makes sacrifices for each other? I almost laughed at the hypocrisy, but instead my voice came out steady, calmer than even I expected. You're right, I said. Family does make sacrifices. But lately, it seems like I'm the only one sacrificing anything. I could hear muffled voices in the background, Amber complaining about glitter stuck in her hair. Someone knocking on their door again, my mother shooing them away so she could stay on the phone. The chaos in our world contrasted so deliciously with the calm in mine that it almost felt unreal. Did you do this? Be honest with me, she demanded. I took another sip of coffee. I didn't owe her an explanation, but I wanted her to understand, just once, the connection between her choices and their consequences. I didn't make the spa overcharge you, I said. I didn't break their system. I just nudged a few things using the account you left lying around. Like you nudged my life off balance when you touched money that wasn't yours. She gasped. That's illegal, Olivia. That's manipulative. This is not how you handle problems. I let that settle. You stole my rent, I replied. What would you call that? Her tone shifted then, less angry, more defensive, brittle. We were going to pay you back. You always do fine. You're the responsible one. You'll manage. That sentence, you'll manage, hit a nerve. It had been hitting me my whole life. You'll manage. You'll handle it. You'll fix it. It was their excuse to keep taking from me emotionally, financially, mentally. I stared at my reflection in the cabin window, at the woman who finally looked done with all of it. Not anymore, I said. This time, I'm not managing it for you. You wanted a spa retreat at my expense. Now you're paying the full price in money and discomfort. I'm on my own vacation, and I'm not cutting it short to rescue you. She scoffed, outrage bubbling back up. So this is your big revenge? You ruin our weekend because you couldn't be mature enough to talk this through? Her ability to twist reality would have worked on the old me. But I'd spent too many nights crying quietly over bounced payments and unseen effort. Today, the guilt didn't land. I did talk to you, I reminded her. I told you I couldn't afford it. I told you that the money was for rent. You took it anyway. You didn't just ignore me, you dismissed me. So now I'm speaking in a language you finally understand. Consequences. On the other end, Amber grabbed the phone. Olivia, what the hell? She snapped. They're saying we have to pay for some robe and tea set we never ordered. And staff members are knocking every hour about some complaint. This is psycho behavior. You're being toxic. I inhaled slowly. You posted thanking me for paying for your best weekend ever while I was scrambling to tell my landlord I couldn't cover rent. I answered, You're mad that you're uncomfortable for 2 days? I was terrified of being homeless. So yeah, I think we have different definitions of toxic, she cursed under her breath. So what now? Are you just going to sit there and gloat while we deal with this? I looked at the ocean's edge, where the water met the sand over and over, relentless and certain. No, I said. I'm going to set boundaries. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to cover my rent for the next 2 months. Not as a loan. As repayment for what you stole and for the years I quietly funded your little emergencies. You're also going to remove my bank details from anything you have access to. And you're never going to touch my money again. If you don't agree, I will send every screenshot, every transfer history, every proof of what you did to the rest of the family and to anyone else who should know who you really are. There it was. Not a threat. A decision. For once, the silence on the other end sounded like shock instead of dominance. Amber lowered her voice. "You wouldn't do that," she said, but there was a tremor in her words. Because she knew I would. I was no longer the girl begging for a seat at a table that constantly handed her the bill. "I already drafted the email," I lied, even though I hadn't, but I knew I could. "All it takes is one click." "I'm done protecting your image while you destroy my stability." I heard my mother whisper something to Amber, then her voice came back, stiffer now, bargaining. "Fine," she said. We'll figure out your rent. But you undo whatever you did here. This spa is a mess because of you." I shook my head even though she couldn't see. "I can't fix their system errors," I said, letting a tiny bit of the earlier mischief color my tone. "But this seems like a really good opportunity for you both to sit in a situation you can't control. Consider it a spiritual retreat in consequences." For once, she didn't have a quick reply. Eventually, she muttered, "We'll transfer the money when we get back." I didn't thank her. She wasn't doing me a favor. She was returning what she owed. "One more thing," I added, my voice gentler but firm. "When you come back, don't come to my apartment without asking. Don't call me expecting me to fix your issues. If you want me in your life, it'll be on equal terms, not as your ATM or emotional dumping ground. If you can't handle that, then we shouldn't talk for a while." That landed? I could feel it through the phone. "You're really doing this," my mother said quietly, like she was seeing me clearly for the first time and didn't know what to make of it. "Yes," I replied. "I really am." I ended the call before either of them could say anything else and put my phone on silent, placing it face down on the bed. The waves outside were louder now, crashing with a confidence I felt echoing in my chest. For the rest of the day, I walked along the shoreline, let icy water lap at my ankles, and watched the sky shift from silver to blush to deep violet. I thought about little Olivia, the girl who used to do extra chores so her sister wouldn't get scolded, who skipped outings to save money for family emergencies, who swallowed hurt and called it love. I wished I could hug her and tell her that one day she'd stop apologizing for needing basic respect. That one day she'd stop paying for everyone else's comfort with her own suffering. That one day she'd take her own vacation and not feel guilty about it. When I returned to the cabin that evening, there was an email from my bank. Incoming transfer, $3,560, 2 months rent, plus a little extra. No message attached. None needed. I closed my eyes and smiled. Their spa retreat might have been ruined, glittered, overcharged, and interrupted, but mine hadn't. Mine had been quiet, empowering, and deeply healing. I didn't destroy their lives. I didn't become cruel like them. I just refused to let them keep getting away with what they'd always done. One chose myself. For once. And as I lay in bed that night,